Hey BGLWs, it's your girl Shanae, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and suggestions on how to move forward towards success after having low grades. All of this information that I share with you in today's video are things that I did after having a first year of low grades that helped me to go on to graduate and succeed in law school and thereafter. So if you find yourself in a position where you didn't get the grades that you necessarily wanted and you're trying to figure out what to do next so that you can ensure your success, then keep watching. All right, so let's get right into it. First things first, tip number one is acceptance. Accept where you are. There's nothing you can do about it now. You know, it is what it is. Your grades are your grades. You can't go back and change them. So just accept that. And if you're having a hard time coping with that, then I suggest that you go and watch my video on coping with grade anxiety and sadness, where I offer tips on how to get over the emotional hurdle of not getting the grades that you wanted so that you can put yourself in the right mindset to begin thinking about what it is you need to do for the semester. And if after watching that video you are still struggling, then please go see a counselor, because low grades can be a trigger that, offsets the beginning stages of depression. And that's what you don't want in law school. That's like the last thing you need. Trust me, been there, done that. I could write a whole book about it. All right. So accept where you are. It is what it is. Don't keep beating yourself up about it. Just, you have low grades. Now what's next? So tip number two is to make a plan, and making a plan requires you to do a number of things. The first thing being to reflect. Honestly reflect on what it is that you did throughout the previous semester that benefited you and what it is that you did that hurt you. Take those things, assess them, and then come up with ways in which you can continue doing what helped you and stop doing what did not help you. This is going to require you to be very honest about yourself. Did you commit enough time throughout the semester studying, or did you just try and cram during the very last month of the semester? Did you participate in class? Did you make use of office hours? All of those kind of things. Take all of that into consideration, and then, go forth from there. The other thing to consider too is, how did you handle stress during the semester? Could you have done a better job of balancing that? Were you so focused on school that you put yourself into an anxiety mode and then you went into exams feeling overwhelmed? Or did you take time to really engage in self-care? All of those things you should take into consideration. So that's number one, reflect and be honest with yourself about what it is that you did and did not do to help you be successful for the next semester. Right. So after you've had an opportunity to reflect on your actions throughout the semester, the next thing you want to do is connect with your professors from the previous semester, the ones that you just got grades with. You want to connect with all of them, even in the classes that you did very well in. When you go to meet with your professors in the courses that you didn't do well, and you obviously want to ask them about what it is that you could have done differently, what you missed, things of that nature, take note of all of that, and then ask them what it is that you can do to not do that next semester, or what it is that you could have done to avoid that. Sometimes it could be that you just could have done something different on the actual exam, but other times, professors might say, well, if you had done this throughout the semester, that would have helped you. And so you want to take note of that. You also want to meet with your professors in the courses that you did very well in and find out what it is that about your exam answer that they felt warranted a great grade, because you want to know your strengths as well as your weaknesses. You don't want to just focus on your weaknesses. You want to know what your strengths are so that you can take that into the next semester and continue building upon that, keeping that in mind. Sometimes you get so focused on your weakness that you improve that and then your strengths have gone down and you haven't given them the time and energy that you need. So you want to meet with both professors. Obviously, if time is limited, then meet with the professors that you didn't do well in their course. So you want to take all of that into consideration and write that down along with your self-assessment, in a nice handy dandy notebook where you're going to form the basis of your plan. Okay. So after you've met with your professors, another thing you want to do is take a look at your school's policies. look at what their academic policies are in terms of academic probation and in terms of dismissal. I know it's a scary thing to look at, but you got to do it. Now, the reason I say to do this is because you kind of want to know your baseline. Obviously, you're not aiming to get the lowest, that you don't want to be lazy and say, I'm just going to do the bare minimum, but you want to know where you stand in terms of academic probation and in terms of dismissal. So it forms your baseline. So, listen, this is the lowest I can get. I got to get above this to just keep my seat here, It's kind of like when you're applying to schools and you have your safety, your target, and your reach. It's the same thing. Look at the policy that forms your safety. Like, as long as you are above this, you are in the safe zone. Then look at your strengths and weaknesses and what your professors have told you, and be honest with yourself and say, okay, this is my target. If I do X, Y, and Z throughout the semester, I should be able to reach this. And then your reach is getting, just straight all A's, That's just what it is. So after you've done that, you also want to meet with, if you feel comfortable, your dean of academics or your academic advisor. If you don't feel comfortable meeting with your dean of academics, I understand, different schools, different situations. But find a professor that you trust, you feel comfortable speaking with, and ask them about any advice they have in terms of resources that you can use, to help you, to assist you, and different techniques you can use to study in a way that will benefit you. Because again, your professors, yes, they might be teaching that one course, but they went to law school just like you. So they know what it is to have to study and navigate the legal field. The other thing that I forgot to mention, when you meet with your professors, especially your new professors, you want to ask them, ask them what it is that their most successful students have done. And ask them if there are any supplements or resources that you should be looking at for their course. I remember in my crim law course, I had Kip Cornwell, John Kip, I think his first name is John, I can't remember, Kip Cornwell. I had him as my actual professor, and he actually had a criminal law supplement that he recommended. I asked him from the very beginning, do you have any recommendations? And he told the class as well. And I did well in that class. I think I got like a B, which, law school, a B, that is something. And I would highly recommend that supplement as well for anyone else taking criminal law. John Kip Cornwell also does the crim law course for Barbary. So it's a good supplement, and it was a very easy supplement to understand. So you want to ask your professor if they have any supplements that they would recommend. It might be one that they wrote themselves. So that's important to know as well. So after you have done all those things, you reflected on what you could have done differently, you've spoken to your professors, you've met with the dean of academics, you've looked at the policy, you then want to create a schedule for yourself where you can fit in time for you to focus on those different things. So if you know that there's a really good supplement for a course, do not try and read that supplement a week before the exam. Match the supplement with your syllabus. So if your syllabus says that on this particular week, you're going to be going over, I don't know, what is assault and battery in your torts class, then in the supplement, make time. Say, okay, this week on Tuesday for 30 minutes, I'm then going to read this portion. I need to have read up to here in my supplement, or done practice questions up to here in my supplement. Start practice questions as early as you can in terms of like multiple choice. Obviously, law school exams are not always multiple choice. A lot of times they're essays, but the multiple choice helps you get the law down pat, at least the like one line law. So go and sit down after you've done all of this. This doesn't have to be a long project. Just spend one weekend, maybe 2 hours, looking over everything that you've accumulated, all the information you've taken in from your professors. If your professor said, oh, you needed a better grounding in the law, or you needed to write more succinctly, take all of that into consideration and say, okay, by the end of the first 3 weeks of school, I want to have read this much in the did this many practice questions, read this much in the supplement, and taken my first practice test with the goal of getting my answer out in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or in only 20 lines. whatever the goal is. You would know based on what's said. The other thing to consider as well when you speak with your dean of academics is whether or not there's any type of course you can take. I know in my school there was like an academic success course that you could take, and you were mandated to take if you were on academic probation to help you improve your study skills and your concepts in the law. So that's all of those things to consider. And then my last tip, which I know is going to be hard to think about because in your mind, you're like, I need to focus on school. But now is the time to begin building your resume. Yes, grades are extremely important. And if you got low grades, they're even more important. However, you cannot put all your eggs in one basket, okay? And if you have low grades, you need more of the resume than the person who has straight A's. You know, the person who has straight A's may only need to have like 1 or 2 really great things on their resume and be Gucci. But you're going to need to begin building your resume now. So that means that you need to, 1, meet with your career services office as soon as possible, not only about internships, but also about mapping out a career in general and seeking out opportunities that won't be focused on your grades, but will still be notable, that will still make your resume stand out. The other thing you're going to need to do is start considering what activities you want to join, knowing, okay, in April, I'm going to go try out for this. Or even if you don't feel comfortable trying for anything right away, let's just say you really, really want to focus on grades. You still want to identify what activities or organizations you want to get involved in. And then at the end of the semester, you can reach out to those individuals and say, hi, I'm really interested in this and I would like to be involved in this next year. Is it any way we can connect over the summer or at the very beginning of the semester? And can you let me know how I get involved? So start setting yourself up to have things that can build your resume. Now, don't just join stuff just to build your resume. You want to make sure you're actually interested in it so that you are committed to it. And that's where my handy dandy career services guide comes into play, where you can actually assess what it is that you would like to be involved in and then map out a plan for yourself with your career services office about how to achieve those things, both in terms of internships and job opportunities, as well as extracurricular activities. But that's going to be really important. Meeting with your career services office, as well as deciding what activities or organizations you would like to join and building a plan, a long-term plan. You should always have like a 3-year, 5-year plan in mind. But in law school, you know, it's kind of hard to do that. You're kind of trying to figure out what it is that you might be interested in, and you still have room to do that. But when your grades are low, you really need to start thinking long term, this is what I want to be. This is the type of career that I've always wanted to have. What kind of career did you want to have before you got those grades? Okay, now that's the career you want to have. These are your grades. How can you still make your way there? What type of internships are you going to have to go after? What types of activities and organizations are you going to have to be a part of to still be able to get there, even though you may not have the grades to match that? And meeting with your career services office will be of great benefit because they can tell you, okay, well, you know, you're not going to be able to get this, or it's going to be a really hard time to get this particular internship. But this internship is very notable and it's public interest and they don't really focus on this. They're going to know what people you should be connecting with companies, employers, everything. They're going to know all those ins and outs. So you really, really want to get on top of that. And then the last part of building your resume, which this is not even just building your resume. This is the last tip in general. Time management. You're going to have to create a plan and stick to it. And part of sticking to it is having yourself timed out properly. You don't want to overwhelm yourself by just grinding the entire semester in the hopes of getting better grades. But you also don't want to spend so much time planning out how you're going to get better grades that you don't spend any time studying. So I would say take 2 days out of the week, maybe a Saturday and one afternoon, you know, after you've met with your professors, your academic advisor, everything like that, and sit down on a Saturday, spend a few hours, map out your plan in terms of what you actually need to do, and then take what you need to actually do and put it into your planner in terms of actual time slots and make a commitment to stick to that and say, okay, every Tuesday, this is the subject that I'm studying. And every Wednesday, this is the, supplement that I'm going to be reading from. or the outline I'm going to be working on, whatever it is that you come up with for your academic plan, you're going to have to be organized and be very timely in juggling everything, because again, school and academics is your primary focus, but because you have lower grades, you're going to need to build that resume, and that starts early. You have to get ahead of the game. And so being able to do both at the same time, focus on school while also preparing yourself to go after those internship opportunities, requires you to be organized and timely. But those are all the tips I have for you guys. If you have any questions, you can always contact me on BGLW or on the Instagram page. Hit me up in the DMs and I will respond to you. And of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Well, subscribe to this channel. Why did I say video? Subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of our new video drops, and subscribe to our email list so that when resources like the Career Services Guide drops, you'll be the first to know and you'll be able to get in on all the good stuff. All right. Bye, y'all.